7:34. We have one item on our agenda for a public hearing, New England Brewery Company, 175 Anthony Road. An application for a special permit per section 3.9.10 of the zoning regulations for the town of Woodbridge for a seasonal outdoor dining area for the brewery located at 175 Amity Road. Is New England Brewing here? Join us.
Mr. Chairman, Terry, Christine, and the rest of the board, thank you for having us. As you know, we have the brewery down at 175 Amity Road, and our tap room that we have there. We'd like to have an outdoor sitting area for our customers when they come. So we talked to Christine what we had to do. We filled out the application. This is part of it. Marty is our Director of Business Development, so we can hand out, just so you can visualize. See, we set up pictures of a mock patio. It'll look hopefully a lot better than what we did today. We have approval from the police chief, fire chief, Board of Health, and hopefully you find people.
Will this be for the service of food and beer, or just the beer?
Just the beer service. We don't have food there's no restaurants, so we have food trucks that come in so people can eat there.
I see.
Yeah. It'll be, there'll be a wait person serving the people there. And it's not a lot of room. We have one of the areas, it's for a gaming area. People can stand to play cornhole or some outdoor giant Jenga game, which are very popular at tap rooms.
How many months a year do you anticipate being able to
I would say
offer this?
May through October, realistically, like if then.
Weather permitting.
Yeah. And everything that was put out there could be stackable. Marty's got a picture of a white fence.
Yeah, where you see the barrels, that would be white fencing that can be removed, so it's not a permanent structure.
Will the hours of operation be changing at all?
No, but wouldn't be open anywhere past the tap room hours, so 9 o'clock is when we close. There'll be some umbrellas.
No additional lighting, no music or speakers or anything like that outside.
People love to be outside. It's a parking lot, but if we can make it look a little nicer, they'll still like to be outside.
And the Liquor Commission has some control over like the fence that's going around and everything like that. Is that true?
Yeah, they have their own application that will need zoning approval.
Right.
We already have the letter from the police chief, fire chief, and Board of Health.
How high does that fence have to be?
I don't think they say. They just want to know if there's some kind of physical barrier.
Separation.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I gather you don't envision a fence higher than approximately waist level or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're not envisioning.
No, like between 3 and 3 feet, 42 inches,
Okay.
probably the highest.
We'll have some planters out there to make it look nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, well, I was actually asking because I was thinking of the fence at Wheeler's, which was pretty tall.
Wow.
But they're pretty far back from the road.
Yeah, a little bit.
Excellent. All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Marty, did you sign in too?
Yes, you did.
Okay, and can you just state your names for the record, just so it's in there, please?
Robert Leonard.
Marty Giuliano.
Thank you so much.
We have two applications that have been, that was his job. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody here that would like to, oh,
I just had a question. You need to come please and just sign in. Done. You just need to swear
raise your right
for a
hand.
minute.
I just had a question about I heard the no music. I just wanted to know, was there going to be any amplification of any kind?
Shaking their head no.
They're shaking their heads no.
That works for me. It's a nice business down there.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor for or against the application? All right. Check. Check. Very good. Okay, we have two items. Application has been put in by Chris Dickerson for 1690 Litchfield Turnpike. Application for a 4-lot subdivision. So we can go into vote on our work session, but we'll need to set that up for a public hearing. And then we have the Town of Woodbridge, 4 Newton Road, Connecticut General Statute, Section 8.24, referral for review of the proposed final design of the restoration of the old firehouse located at 4 Newton Road. And I think there's somebody here to speak to us this evening.
Good evening. My name is David Stein. I'm a principal with the architectural and engineering firm of Silver, Petroselli and Associates. Would you like me to give you a brief overview of the project?
Please.
Yes, well, thank you. So our firm has been working on this project actually for many years. Within the last year, we've sort of revived the project, and essentially what it is an adaptive reuse of the former fire station. We are actually the architect who designed a new station across the street, so we've been working around this project for many years. Essentially what we are doing is we're converting this building to have a multiple uses. The main level is intended to have some multi-purpose spaces, which is intended more for Parks and Rec and educational meeting spaces and such. Within that renovation, the intent is that we're going to upgrade the mechanical systems, we're going to upgrade the lighting, and we're going to repurpose those. There's essentially 3 existing bays that were there. We're repurposing 2 of those. The main one, which is part of the original building, is staying in place, and that's going to be used for the antique vehicle and other ancillary pieces as part of the fire department's use. The second floor, which is intended to be used primarily by Amity High School as part of a special education program, but that space, which it was originally intended to be as a meeting room, that was actually the meeting room for the volunteers, when it was active, is to redesign that to have the potential flexibility as an assembly space. But its primary use, Monday through Friday, during educational hours, is for that special educational, essentially adult students. Some of the students actually that are matriculated in the program are all the way up until 21. And their uses would be just general classroom environment. Currently, Amity leases this space at Southern, and they want to bring it closer, obviously, to home and closer to main campus. We are introducing an elevator into the building. We're upgrading the mechanicals to the building, improving its means of egress, and so forth. We are doing very little to the overall facade of the building. We are not expanding the footprint of the building. The roofs are essentially staying in place, other than patching and repairing that we're doing as part of the overall renovation. There are some minor elements that are being extended. As I mentioned, the elevator, there's a small protrusion that's on the back side of the building. You cannot see that from the main intersection from the road. And then any of the ancillary mechanical components that go along with modernizing or adaptively changing to a meeting room from a firehouse. And that's essentially the overall scope of work of the project.
Is there a budget for this project?
There is a budget for the project. We are in a position to go out to bid shortly. I do not have those numbers in front of me to quote the exact dollars of that for you.
Approximately?
I believe off the top of my head, I think we're about a $1.1 million overall project with all the components, including soft costs.
A large percentage of that is covered by insurance proceeds.
By the way,
Insurance proceeds from where?
From the fire.
from the original fire at the firehouse.
Oh, so it's been sitting there all this time?
$1 million.
Yeah, and I believe
A large percentage of it.
and there's
What's the large
also
percentage. 400.
We'd be happy to get you those numbers, but I do believe it's a substantial amount of
Enough money that is available by insurance proceeds. We did the exterior after the fire.
Right.
There's also a steep grant, which is also funding a large part of this project to help also offset the funds.
And I gather, well, you wouldn't know, but I gather there would be a lease between the town and Amity now.
There has been discussions of a contractual arrangement, yes.
Between the two because of the
Correct,
use of the space.
yes.
What's the length of time to when you find a contractor to come in and execute on the plans?
Somewhere around nine months. It can protract a little bit more. As I said, most of this work can be done inside, so weather is not a primary factor, but I would say about a 9-month time frame from when they get truly started.
From when they start, oh, okay. And as far as I would think as far as the Amity, the students were gonna have to be switched over. That would have to be arranged with Southern to stop. They probably have a lease of some sort with Southern, some sort of arrangement. Okay. So just to repeat, the upper area, just so I understand, the upper area is going to be used primarily for the students.
Correct.
So it will be classroom type.
It's a large open space that's flexible, so with their use of furniture and equipment, that they can arrange that. The dormers that are positioned there actually work well because they could tuck away their educational material and store that there. But yes, that is the primary use of the space, but it also allows the town the flexibility of using that after hours. for
That's what I was
other-
going to ask
other
about
meetings.
specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. So it can be used after hours and on weekends for town functions.
Yes.
And then on the first floor again,
On the first
said
floor
why?
on that bay below is
Yeah.
where the antique fire truck and other ancillary memorabilia will be stored, which currently exists right now. And the other two bays have the flexibility as exercise room, meeting rooms, and so forth.
oh, so under your proposal, they're just open space, as opposed to dedicated space to a gym or to a...
There are provisions, electrical provisions, to be able to plug in treadmills and other type of exercise equipment. There still needs to be decided upon exactly which bay that may go in, and we're going to position a bid alternate so the electrical can just basically be repositioned in that fashion. But the intent is one of the bays would be more dedicated towards an exercise room. The other one would be more flexible, a yoga class per se, or maybe even just a meeting room for the Boy Scouts or something like that.
But you're saying that will be primarily under the operation of the rec department? Is that?
I understand that, yes, the
Okay.
oversight would be through the rec department and through the town. However, the selectman guides
Sure.
guides that use to manage it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to vote in favor of the application? Is there anybody who would like to vote opposed to the application? All right. Okay, we're going to move into our work session. New England Brewery, application for a special permit, section 3.9.10 of the zoning regulations for the town of Woodbridge for a seasonal outdoor dining area for the brewery located at 175 Amity Road. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
There's a motion to approve, I assume.
Yeah, I second them. I'll move to approve. Somebody
I-
second.
So I'll move
Okay.
to approve the application.
Okay, we have to set up a public hearing. I imagine we can do that next month. So it's June 4th. So then we have Town of Woodbridge, 4 Newton Road. Does that sound good to everybody, June 4th?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
A motion? You need one?
No. Referral for review of the proposed final design for the restoration of the old firehouse located at 4 Newton Road. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I just wonder how much input people had into this design. I have no idea.
I don't have any idea either. I get it, actually. I have no idea. Well,
It's-
well, I guess we can ask him.
What was the question?
Were there any public hearings on this? Just time. Were there any public hearings on the design of, and what was happening at the,
In terms
well,
of,
actually, Terry could probably answer.
in terms of use,
Not aware of any. There's been discussions at the selectmen's,
It's been presented at the selectmen's meeting,
and there's been a committee working.
and there's a building committee that's overseeing the project.
Which is public.
well, they're not touching, basically, they're not touching the exterior of the building, so. When people see it's all going to look the same. It's just a question of 1.1 million, of which hopefully I'm on.
So what action do we need to take with respect to this type of
I think we have to approve this, or not?
We'll comment on it.
Comment.
Just comment or approval or disapproval?
I guess the step.
Historically, you're supposed to find that it was in conformance with your plan of conservation and development.
That would, no, that would prohibit this. That's not contrary.
Did anybody look at parking relative to the firehouse? You know, so if you have a meeting upstairs, you have school related or so forth, is it like 10 people that would be going, or 50 people, or 50 cars, or school buses or anything?
Historically, I haven't looked at the school buses, but historically, there's been a lot of parking at to accommodate the volunteer firemen arriving. So there's no shortage of parking, in particular during the day.
Sure.
The school buses, I can't speak to the Amity program at all.
Well, how many people are gonna be here, actually? How many people can use this space?
At one time.
Right. Sorry.
That's okay. We have designed this to an assembly space, okay, so looking at it as a meeting room. At our 1 per 50, we are, and my print is pretty small, so I'm having a hard time reading it. I believe we have about 80 people within the space that's packed in tables and chairs. But in terms of classroom use, this is going to be about 15 students. Will be using the space as its primary use.
Okay, so,
You talking?
The second floor.
pardon?
You're talking about the second.
Just the second floor.
So, yes, there's parking there. I wouldn't call it plenty of parking because there's not necessarily that many people that were there when it was a fire station. But having said that, probably a lot of these people are walking from the school or being dropped off. So,
The students will be bused to here and dropped off. It's a trip once or twice a day.
it's not like there's gonna be.
There'll be one or two educators.
cars.
There'll be 2 educators minimum and a few more.
The center school lot is
And that's the
immediately
intent.
adjacent. The library, center school are immediately adjacent.
Right.
Correct. That's the intent. Is so when the multi-purpose use that's being done by the other spaces, that the primary parking would be used at the library and Center School. No objection.
Okay, so this is okay, but it's being changed to it. But you're doing the code as far as turning it into an assembly space. So you are changing its use.
Yes. Yes. Firehouse is categorized as business
Right.
in its current code. Although the use on the second floor was always assembly.
Any other questions?
So I would say from a code perspective, what we're doing on the second floor is really a parallel use. We're not changing its use because that was always a meeting room.
Are there two means of egress out of here or just one?
There's 2.
Oh, that's what I thought.
We're recreating a brand new
I see.
stair.
I thought it was
and
two, and then I
reworking-
suddenly thought I better
Yes.
ask. All right. Very good. Thanks. So, are there any comments?
I think it's okay.
There you go.
That's what I don't oppose it, I would support it.
I suggest that we find it in conformity with the
With the POCD?
POCD.
Yeah.
I don't know what the POCD actually.
I don't know. I'm not.
Never mind.
Certainly not contrary.
No, it's not contrary.
That's true.
second? Did you want?
No, we don't.
Oh, we just leave it at that.
I think she just makes comments for the record. Isn't that right, Chris?
Usually you make a motion to send those comments, but you kind of made the motion and
Okay.
Jeff seconded, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Not you, Jeff, the other Jeff. Sorry,
Oh.
too many Jeffs.
All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, report on activities this round.
There was no meeting last month. There is a meeting this week. I did not bring the agenda with me, but I'll be able to report next month on this week's meeting.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to move on to the update of the zoning regulations. Leslie? Just quick, Leslie.
Yep.
Chris has written this thing up, but
Yep.
I always like to believe
Everything has
she
been-
sent this to you on Friday,
Yes,
so you've already taken care of all this.
it's all been taken care
So
of.
we can actually just put this aside. So I'd like us to go through this tonight and then set up for a public hearing and send it to Scrog, just because I heard you guys don't have enough to do. So if we have 35 days, we give them 35 days. So I know that Chris and Terry and all of us actually having a chance to quickly peruse this from our but all the comments were picked up at the meeting. But so our assumption is that we can determine a public hearing date, start our 35 days, put it online so everybody can be looking at it. And we should all be looking at it as well as Chris can weigh in for us, as she's been doing. And so we don't expect there'll be any major changes to have to trigger to start the 35-day over, start it again. So that's what we're anticipating.
Yep.
So, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you all again. It feels like it was just yesterday. So virtually all of the changes that were recommended by the commission was it 2 weeks ago, I guess, were actually made that night. I was making them that night. So your bulk chart and your uses chart are up to date, and that's what you have before you. The one other thing that is in here that is that you haven't seen is just an update of process for your applications. And so that is your that's section 6, and that just tells applicants, is very clear what they need to do to apply for a permit, whether it's a site plan, zoning permit, or a special exception. And although the list for some of this looks exhaustive, it is discretionary in terms of the commission. For the most part, you can waive things, but it protects you and it protects the town. Oops. And this is picking up a lot of what was in your what's in your existing regulations, but also bringing it up to sort of common, present day requirements. And that's based on the experiences that you've all had, that we've talked about over the course of going through all of this. Obviously, what's legal and what's not. So for instance, the issue of a performance bond is still in here, but performance bonds are limited in the state of Connecticut right now to sedimentation and erosion controls, for the most part. So it's still in here, but it does have the added line of being, as long as it's compliant with Connecticut general statutes. So you're not losing anything.
Okay, cool. Any questions?
Well, I have to, read it.
Obviously.
Okay, so
Obviously.
It makes really great bedtime reading. I mean, it's a lot of, it's basically lists of things
Right.
that.
And we do have in here, as we talked about at the last meeting, we do have in here as a place saver T4, although we're not calling out any T4s at this time. Zones. We can go back and address that afterwards. We can get through this.
I did cross-check everything and put back the zones that we had renamed and reconfigured.
But all the residential zones are staying the same, although
Exactly.
they're being called something a little different, but they're the same thing.
Same thing.
And then we are changing in the Dev 1, which is one of the main reasons to get this thing going, so that there's a ratio of residential and retail, which is what we have in the approved package for the Woodbridge Village thing. It's still 55 and over, so there's nothing else that can go there other than 55 and over.
You're actually increasing, because in the regs, it was 10% minimum,
We're increasing,
that ratio, because in the regs, it's a 10% minimum.
Right.
So you're increasing
Right.
that ratio.
that's correct. But we're trying to not have big box stores moving and things like that. So that's the idea. And by increasing our retail, we increase our tax base. So these are all good things, I think, for most people.
So what are the parameters of the scheduling for the public hearing? It has to be
So we have 35 minutes,
from now.
well, from tomorrow. Because we're just going to send it out tomorrow.
Well, is your meeting Thursday?
Yeah.
So I have to check with Eugene to make sure I can get it in for that meeting. Because usually it's a week or more before, but we'll try.
You can try. I think.
Well, don't they meet every 30 days?
They do if there is an item to be acted upon.
It's usually the second Thursday
I'm sure.
of each month.
I would think it could be amended. I think he already emailed out the agenda about 5 days ago.
If it's a regular meeting, you should all be able to add something to it.
I would think so. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Nope. Do we have to schedule?
We have to schedule a public hearing. So the week of the 18th.
Of June.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you can send out a thing, Chris. I can actually only come the 18th or the 19th. But that week anyway.
Actually, I mean, if you do that, if for some reason it fails to get on the agenda for this month, it would still have time to make a meeting
Right.
in
Right.
June.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Second Thursday, is that what you're saying?
Second Thursday.
No, it's the 14th. So we're talking about the week after. Would it be cool if you could get on this Thursday? Try a little magic.
I don't know if I have any juice in that regard.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
We're at time. All right. Anything else? Leslie?
Yes.
I do have a question. Where do you want to have this hearing? I'm assuming that there would be some interest.
Someplace where there's more than one mic for 7 people.
Okay.
But
I
of
don't
course,
know where
there's
that might be.
maybe we have to rent a system or something, but passing a mic around for a spontaneous meeting doesn't really work. Maybe the library space.
That's smaller than here occupancy wise.
Really?
Yeah. So, I'll check. What time?
Maybe 7?
Sure. Do 6 if you want.
It's tempting. So let's say 7. What do we do when we do it in the gym?
I'll check and see how they run town meetings. I don't know what speaker system they have in there, but
Just trying to think of when we were there, but
when you did a charrette.
One, and then they have one that in the center where people come up and talk.
There's one mic at the table. People, and then one they can step
So
up.
if it's not hot shot.
okay.
Thank you, Alan.
I will say there's not a whole lot for it to be contentious, but that doesn't mean it won't be.
It will be.
It doesn't make any sense,
It's
but
going to be.
I don't know what anyone's going to ask.
This material will be posted and available to people in the public long before that meeting, right?
Yes.
Long before.
It-
3 weeks, 2 weeks, right? Or the full 30 days?
In the next
If we're gonna
24
schedule a
hours.
meeting,
Yeah,
It's
okay,
gonna go up
Okay.
tomorrow.
How can we do a good job of notifying everyone in town? Because I think to just posting on the website, unless you're accustomed to checking on the website, I think people, I think the assumption is that they don't get notified and that there's something that we're hiding. So how can we do a good job of notifying the town that this is happening? I think if you diffuse it in advance,
Let's
people
draft a
won't-
press release and then release it, right? Can we do that? And then maybe they'll get picked up. The last meeting got picked up by news stations with very little fact-based analysis. It was just picked up, and so.
I guess what I'm
maybe
referring
we
to,
could-
is there some way we can notify the town that this is on the website, what's being proposed, here's the meeting, and we're not gonna do it the last week before the meeting? So, I don't know what kind of, modes of communication are available to get,
Everybody look at me.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
You're the expert in the room.
You have a town website and you have a town newspaper that goes out. I don't know when that newspaper goes out, so I have to check that. I don't have that answer right now, but
There's also a town, there's also I'm on some town email system.
But that emails, yes, there is the email system. It doesn't hit everybody in town, and if you're not on it, you're not going to get it that way. So you don't want to just use that
I
exclusively.
agree, but at least the people who are on that feel like they've been notified with plenty of time.
So, I mean, it'll do the normal stuff that we normally do. I'll check with Sheila McCrevin tomorrow to see what other options are out there to get it out there. There is the ability to put some things on the front page. There's an events page of the website. They don't normally like to use it for meetings, but this is something a little bit beyond a meeting.
We've tried to get things on the front page before and haven't been able to, so.
But, you know, we can ask and whatnot. And then the newspaper, because I believe that goes to every home. I mean, I don't live in Woodbridge, so
It does
no
every
better.
couple weeks, it comes out.
So
every
if
week.
that,
I think it's monthly.
so if.
I got one today. Yeah.
So
Stick.
if you got one today, then hopefully there would be one out the beginning of June. So then that way it would be in homes before the meeting.
How about signage?
And the other option I was going to say is we have some of those boards that they put up for, you know, reminders to vote. Like right now they're up for the Amity referendum and whatnot. So you could place some signage, but it would have to go around all portions of town.
Well, I think typically those signs go at the Blue Check intersection and at Ringwood Road and Racebrook and Senate Road and Racebrook, just those three places.
But they need to go down below too. So, I mean, I'll investigate.
that'd be great.
True, and
I'll
there's not
investigate.
usually a sandwich board down that part of town.
Nope.
No sandwich boards there?
We can hire the tax guy who wears that
I don't-
costume to hold the sandwich board up.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
You sometimes see it at Lucy and Litchfield, sometimes.
So, we'll investigate and see.
Okay, so
what we
that
can do.
Lucy and Litchfield's a good idea. If it's
If we
possible.
could do one there, and if we could do one at Amity and Bank Street, somewhere around that corner.
Yeah, actually, sometimes there's some at that corner.
Yeah, there are.
There are two major
Business.
intersections that most people would be driving to or from,
Right.
going to or from work. So if we do up here and we do there, hopefully we'd be hitting everybody.
Totally agree. Right.
And now, timing on those things, we don't want them up for a long time. How do you feel about timing of that?
A week, 10 days. in
Well,
advance.
no. Question is, how long do they normally put up, like, for the Amity?
Ely Mawson area is 2 weeks in advance of the thing. So if the meeting is that either the 18th or the 19th, they would go up at 2 weeks before that.
Exactly.
We'll see what we can get up.
All right.
You can also put magnetic things on the sides of your cars advertising that there's going to be a meeting.
Well, we have to pick the date first,
I know.
so.
We'll get that done.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
You're open both days, so I don't have to email you. Okay.
Well, you have to email her when we pick the day, though.
No, yeah, I know that.
All right. I encourage everyone to look at the, I mean, I'm not really too worried about most of these, but the uses and everything, things that we really went through. And send your comments into Chris, who will distribute it to all of us.
So if you can send it electronically to me, then
Right.
I'll email them back up.
Right. And Leslie. All right.
Oh, one thing that we talked about, which I don't know how you addressed it, was the second front yard setback.
Oh, right. This is what we talked about today.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we leave that in?
If it had been there before, it is still there. I mean,
Because it wasn't in the table, it was in section.
right, there's some things that are in the table and some things that are in the text. The table is meant for the most general, quickly accessed information. When you're starting to get into the weeds on a project, then you have to read the rest of the text. There are certain things that are, for instance,
Yeah, so Chris and I were talking today because that's always a bone of contention. Everybody complains about it, so we were thinking that maybe we don't need it.
whatever you want. Let's.
Right.
Many people are troubled by it.
A lot. It's actually one of the things that I hear about the most over the years.
I mean, it's made virtually every district have many buildings that are non-conforming. What it is, if you don't know, is that we have a front yard setback from the property line, and then dependent on what type of road you are, either a state road, a major town road, or a minor town road, you either have an extra 50 feet, 40 feet, or 25 feet from the center line of the road. And when it took place, it virtually made everything on Amity Road become non-conforming, except for stuff that was built later.
And it's also a problem on historic houses because you're forced to go into your setback, like the house on.
Many times on older homes, it means that the addition in the rear of the house is in the front yard.
Yes, I will vouch for that. Mm-hmm. But it's really more, to be honest with you, when you're replacing it, it's unfortunate that this house can't be put back where it was, like that one on the corner down the street where the duck was.
The goose.
Goose. Oh yeah.
It was a goose.
But anyway, it was goose. Where they built it and it burned, and they had to move it back.
As we understand the legislative intent at the time when it was introduced was to maintain the 75-foot front yard when the community decided to increase the size of its roads, which I can't believe that we have any intentions of doing that as a community. We would want less of a road than more of a road.
Yeah. Well, also, houses closer to the street slow things down, and historic houses especially. We're trying to keep a rural, historic feel in town, and we're telling people, now you got to push your house back. So it's kind of bizarre.
I don't know that in one instances that I've ever seen a circumstance in applying it that we said to ourselves, oh my God, thank God we have this.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably, I believe that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we should pull that out.
Okay.
And would this
be
be
a good
in
time to take care of that?
Would this be in these various identified districts, or is this townwide?
Only in A&A.
No, it's townwide.
No, it could be townwide.
It's townwide.
Okay.
I mean, it affects townwide, so it needs to be removed townwide.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason not to.
I mean, it's critical on Amity and Litchfield.
I know.
And Baldwin.
And what?
And Baldwin, poor Baldwin.
Yeah.
They're all right there.
It's an old road and it meanders in and out, so it's just horrible. And it's the cause of many appeals to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So.
Okay, good.
Are we going to have a new zoning map too?
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean,
It's just that the zoning map that we have currently relates to the districts as they're currently named.
right.
Not,
So they have to have the different names put on. And GBA needs to
be formally put on.
formally put on.
I think that's a good idea. I had inquired of Christine some months ago about the availability of the zoning map on the website, and she provided a very reasonable explanation as to why that was not possible at present, but perhaps prospectively it could be accomplished. print a new one or shrink it down to the appropriate size, something like that.
Well, the one that's in the regs is so, you can't read it.
Yeah, and even at the size that we have it, there's been changes made to it, and they're literally done with stickers that you put on it saying this site has been changed to this or that. So,
Yeah, and it's
Great
also,
opportunity to have a new map.
right, and it's also shrunk down to 8.5 by 11, and it'd probably work a little bit better if it was at least on 11 by 17 and just have it be a fold out.
even as an 11 by 17, you can't read downtown. I mean, it'd be better, but we need to have that big one that we can hang on a wall.
Well, then, okay, this is, then my suggestion would be to do your 11 by 17 and then circle the area of the downtown and have a second 11 by 17 page.
Yeah, do it that way. I mean, we just need to be able to cover both sets.
Yeah, so you can have.
That's a reasonable
So that actually probably should work.
Yeah.
Because I agree, it's kind of a problem. Drives me nuts. I have a big blow up ones in my office that like this. Okay.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
No, no, you have 4 sets of novels that I
You know,
wrote.
you're gonna sit in all the right directions. Too bad.
Nice try, but no.
Yeah, so we have some minutes. So we have the, thank you, Leslie. Special meeting approval of the minutes for February 27th, 2018.
So moved.
There are a couple of typos that need to be
You just send them to me, or if you marked them up, I'll take the copy.
So would you like to amend your motion to say approved with the typos?
With Commissioner Lipson's edits pending.
There you go. I find it hard to believe in 17 pages you had a typo. All right, so all those in favor?
We can
Say
get
aye.
second.
Very good. I actually think Lipson did, but he probably doesn't care. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from, so all those in favor, right?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Approval of the minutes from March 5th. A motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
I wasn't here.
Don't. Jeff, were you here?
Yep.
I was here. Yes, I didn't read this in depth, but I'll motion.
You'll be second.
I'll be second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Meeting minutes for April 2nd.
That I read. It looked fine.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
not opposed, abstaining. I wasn't there.
For April 2nd.
Oh, it was a wonderful meeting.
And then we have the special meeting approval of the minutes for April 24th.
I read it.
I think this is 2018 though.
Where did I say other than that?
Approval of minutes says special meeting April 24th, 2017.
Mine doesn't.
Where?
I'm going on the agenda.
Oh, I'm reading it.
Yeah, no, that is 18. You're
Okay.
right. Everywhere else it's right.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes of April 24th.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, there's one more motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.